This is the Dräger pump. You open the box, this is what it's going to look like. You got a couple sheets here. We'll talk about those here in a minute. First thing is here's your pump. You get it out of the box. It looks just like this. Up here is where you insert your tubes. Back here on the back is your tube cutter. And then right here on the front, when we get into talking about the tubes after a while, you can actually scan the barcodes. So first thing you want to do is hold the green button. It'll give you a countdown, flash green and red. It'll do its startup sequence. What you want to do is grab an empty or a solid tube that hasn't been broken. Once it pops up here, you can see your battery indicator. It'll ask you for a leak test. You want to do this every time you start it up. So you insert a solid tube, hit OK. Hit start. It'll say performing leak test. Takes a couple seconds. It's just like bump testing your meters. You want to make sure you're bump testing your meters before every call. So it says leak test OK. So all you do is take that out, and I'll just put that back in there for now. Hit OK. For example, if you want to do short-term tubes, you go in, you select your measurement. For this one, it's the barcode operation. What we talked about, you take your actual whatever respective chemical you want to look for. For instance, this one is ammonia. We got them all the way up. We got hydrogen sulfide and many others in here. But this is what the ammonia one looks like. Now all these tubes have an arrow for the right direction that they go. So what you do, you stick it in the back, you break off both ends, stick it in the tube holder. So for right now, we'll go ahead and pretend we have a tube in there. We'll go ahead and hit OK. And then you scan the barcode on the back. Just run it up and down. Right there, it shows ammonia, and it'll actually give the class number that you got. So once you find that, you hit OK. And select the parts per million. We'll go with 50 to 600 for right now. And then it's actually checking for it right now. You can hear it pumping. It'll pump a couple times, and in your charts here to tell you how many times it's going to pump and what it should read. So there, it pumped, but it didn't find anything, so you go ahead and just hit finish. Then you can go to your next measurement, or if you're done, you're done. You can figure out what you've got from that point on. So we'll go back to main menu. And then you can also do sample taking. So if you're wanting to do the sample taking, you can also do the barcode with the simul test. The simul tests we have here, these are some searching for the unknowns, what you don't know that you have. So you look at these charts here, it gives you step-by-step directions. If you get a positive result, it tells you where to go. If you get negative, it tells you need to do, like for acid, for instance, you need to do further acid tests. Further detection for any of the other gases. Now these simul tests, they actually do organic and inorganic gases, and they also do any of your hydrocarbon families and your acids and stuff like that. So we'll take the acids. You can zoom in on this chart here. You got nitrous gas, basic gas, carbon monoxide, and acid gas. That's your step one. Your set 2 is like your phosgenes, hydrogen sulfides, sulfur dioxides, and they actually give a less number. They're in order. And then step 3, this is your hydrocarbons, your ketones, and your chlorinated hydrocarbons, and your alcohols. And it'll give examples of what each one, like if you get a hit on the ketones, sources could be paints, lacquers, textile processing. And it could be an acetone, a methyl ketone, or a methyl isobutyl ketone. So these are your charts. These are handy to have. So for the sample taking with the poly test or simul test, you actually hook this tube in right here where you do your regular tubes, and it's got 5 slots here. So when you pull out, this is set 1. So you pull out set 1. Here's what simul test set kit 1 looks like. You'll pull it out, and inside you'll actually find all 5 tubes are together. Now these 5 tubes, when you're ready to go, you just pull down on each end like so, and it'll actually snap off both ends, and then you can actually pull these covers back and hold it in the middle, and you can insert it into the 5-tube holder. Put it in the right direction with the arrows. So once you have that set up, you actually have these little directions that come in the box. It'll tell you what you're looking for. You just make sure that you find the English version or whatever respected language that you're speaking. So you get inside, it tells you what the first markings mean, and then it tells you what the second markings mean in parts per million. Like for example, hydrochloric acid is 5 parts per million for the first marking, and the second is 25 parts per million. This will give you what your ambient conditions need to be, your modes of operations, limits of the measurings, and then what you're actually evaluating. Now there's one more thing that these charts offer, especially with any of these tubes that you're using. You look down, you find, like we'll use acetone for instance, the concentration up to 5,000 parts per million above the liquid, 200 parts per million high concentration over 1%. So it'll tell you how many strokes the bellow actually does, which most all of these are 5 strokes. It'll tell you how long it's going to take of the discoloration on the tube, and then it'll also tell you what color the tube's going to turn. So you look at this one, it's kind of a purplish color. When you're done, it may be like a brown or a brownish green color. You'll just have to look at the chart and identify what it means as to what chemical you're dealing with in the concentration. So when you're all done with this, if you need new batteries when you're done, we actually carry batteries in stock here. Go ahead and swap them out. It does come with a little harness that you can carry in with you into the building when you're in your level A's and B's. So when you're done, all you do is go back. There's the beginning. Hold down on both blue buttons. It'll do its countdown, and then it'll actually pump or flush the pump. And what that's doing is getting out any residual chemicals that's in the Dräger pump.